welcome to another episode of Luke's Coding Tortillas. Last episode, we went over input, we went over variables, we went over writing lines, we went over functions, and now today we're going to learn about the differences between an int and a string. So we're going to go ahead and jump over to our desktop here. We're going to go ahead and open up our first code poop that we made in the last episode. We left off last time with string concatenation, so we're going to get rid of all that because we don't need that. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to first of all, we gotta discuss the difference between, say, 42 and 42. Alright, so, at first glance, as you can see, they look pretty similar, right? Like, one just has quotation marks around it. Like, there's no difference between that. But there's actually a very clear, distinct difference between this. One is a string, one is an integer. You freaking idiot. You're so dumb to not know that. We're gonna go ahead and just see, how these can be used and what the difference is between them. So let's go ahead and just, make some variables. So let's say, the string is equal to 42, right? And then we're gonna say the int is the integer, and the integer is equal to 42. Alright, so we have two variables, the string and the integer. One is a string, one is an integer. Now what we're gonna do write line, and we're gonna say the string, we're gonna add 10 to it. Alright, so the string plus 10, you should go ahead and give a guess of what this is. So the string plus 10, what would this be? Let's also go ahead and do the same thing. Oh frick! Right line, and then the integer plus 10. Now we have two different things. We're adding the string plus 10 and the integer plus 10. All right, so one's a string, one's an integer, and we're gonna add 10 to both of them. Now, what do you think the result's gonna be on each one? Well, if we go at I mean, we don't have to guess. We can literally just figure out right now by running it. You're stupid. Once it runs, as you can see, we got 4210 and 52. Now, why does it say 4210? Like, 42 plus 10 is not 4210, as you can see, because it's a string. If you add a string and any other object together, it's going to convert the second object to a string and concatenate them together. So what it did essentially is 42 plus 10 is actually 4210. It's actually 4210 because it concatenates it together. But the integer 42 plus 10 is equal to 52 because, well, you know, it's basic math. As you can see, there's a distinct difference between a string and an integer, and we gotta always make sure we keep that in mind when we're programming. So let's say we did write line my mega calculator, my mega calculator. All right, so that's my mega calculator. Now we're gonna do write. We haven't done this yet. Write. This will write text, and it won't actually terminate to the next line. It'll just write it. So you'll see. And then we're gonna write first number. All right, and then we're gonna say num1 is equal to input. Alright, so input. Now, if you recall from the last episode, the input function, when we call the input function, it'll let the user type some stuff, and when they press enter, it'll store the value in num1. So, num1 equals input, and then we're going to also, again, we're going to write, let me just space these out so you guys, it's a little easier for you guys, second number, so let's say second number, and then we're going to say num2 is equal to input. So, now we have our first number and our second number input. Now, well, it would be self-explanatory. We could say result is equal to num1 plus num2. So we're setting result to num1 and plus num2. And what this will do is, because you can probably guess that because input returns a string and not an integer, it's just going to concatenate them together. And we can see just like the example of this. So we can say write line result, and then concatenate that with result. So it's going to say result, and then the final result that is num1 plus num2. Alright, so now if we go ahead and run this, it says my mega calculator, first number, let's say 10, second number, let's say 23. Boom, and now it says 1023, which is not right. We don't want that. The main thing we're going to go over today is how do we convert a string to a number, and it's actually really simple. It's actually really freaking simple. So if we go ahead and open up our simple sharp documentation here, in the utility functions, you can get it here by simply clicking utility functions. We can see ParseInt right there, and it says attempts to find an integral number in the text. Throws an error if any letters are present. We're gonna ignore the part that says throws an error, but for right now we're gonna use ParseInt right here. So let's go ahead and do our code. And basically what the ParseInt function does is it takes a string and it converts it to an integer. It converts it literally to an integer. Let's go ahead and click on ParseInt to copy it to the clipboard, and then open our Notepad++, and then what we can do is now, let's say num1 string, let's call these num1 string and num2 string, and then let's say num1 is equal to, let's paste ParseInt and then our text, which is num1 string. So we're going to parse num1 string into an integer, and then we're going to store it in num1. So so basically num1 is the integer version of num1 string. Now we can do the exact same thing on this side. We can say num2 is equal to parseInt num2 string, right? And then boom. And now now num1 and num2 are integers, and when we add them together, you can see. Well, let's see. Go ahead and compile. And then, if we add them together, so we can say 4 plus 23, and the result is 27 because we converted them to integers. Anyways, yeah, that was a really short tutorial, but it's a very good concept. You guys gotta understand. Another video is gonna be coming in a few days, so just be ready for that. And yeah, but yeah, you can go ahead and join the Simple Sharp Discord in the description. The installation tutorials, it's the episode before, it's episode 1. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, you should go ahead and give a like, subscribe, and we're gonna do another episode soon, whether you like it or not.